Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Draft Hub. And today we are going to be making my picks for week 6 of the 2025 NFL season. Last week was bad, to say the least. My worst week ever in Pick'em. 5-9 last week through 14 games. It was just a disaster everywhere. A lot of I shouldn't say upsets, but like a lot of unexpected wins here and there. Tennessee coming back, didn't really help either. So just a bad week overall. We're going to shake it off. We are still at the end of the day 50 and 27 overall through 5 weeks. So it's a very, very solid. We're averaging about a 10 and 6 record every week. So not crazy, not my best ratio, but not my worst. So hopefully we bounce back with a very, very solid week 6. Before we get into these picks, if you enjoy NFL videos, college football videos, NFL draft videos, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I am uploading a video every single day. I'm a little bit late today with this one. I had some stuff going on yesterday. I wasn't able to record these in I wasn't able to record these in advance like I usually am, so I have to record it on the actual day. So they usually go up around 12 o'clock. I'm recording this at 4:30, so as soon as I'm done, it is going to be up on YouTube for everyone's delight. So without further delay, let's get into it. Let's see what this slate has to offer us here. So we're going to start on the Thursday night football game here between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'm sure Giants fans were really excited about the Giants' very random victory over the LA Chargers. Jackson Dart looked very good. And at times against the New Orleans Saints, he also looked good. But the turnover, you know, I won't even really credit that second interception to him. It just looked like a complete I don't remember who it was. I don't remember who it was, Darius Slayton or a different wide receiver, but they completely gave up on the route and Kool-Aid McKinstry just basically ran the route for him. Yeah, he gave up on it right before he threw the football. So really not too much on him, I'd say, but 3 turnovers. They gave the Saints their first win of the season. But on the Eagles side, they finally tasted defeat for the first time this year. They were up 17-3 on the Denver Broncos at home, and the Broncos with that was, I don't want to call it a do or die win, but to keep pace at the very least, or to gain that ground back on the Chargers. This was kind of a must-win game, and they kind of looked dead in the water for quite a while, and they fought back unbelievably. They took an 18-17 lead, and then they kicked a field goal, and they didn't look back after that. So an awesome win for the Broncos. The Eagles kind of came crashing back down to earth, but maybe this was something that they needed. They haven't looked particularly dominant in any game that they've really played so far this year. So maybe this was a get-right game for them in terms of like getting their mentality straight. And then they turn around on a short week and then they have the New York Giants. Now, I'm not saying that the New York Giants are pushovers by any means necessary, but this is a very good get right game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it is at MetLife Stadium, so the Giants have at least that. But I do think the Philadelphia Eagles are still a well oiled machine. The Giants are still kind of working out the kinks. And Jackson Dart, there's a lot of good, there's a lot to like, but there's also the rookie growing pains that you're going to have to go through. And against a very tough Philadelphia Eagles defense, that we might see more growing pains and stuff that we like. So I am going with the Philadelphia Eagles in the Thursday night football game. My disgustingly awful New York Jets at 0-5 taking on the Denver Broncos at 9:30 in the morning on Sunday in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I wish that the Jets would just stay in London and I would never have to see them ever again. No, I don't really mean that, but my God, has it been through 5 games? They pretty good in 2 of those games, and they've looked God in. I should say they look okay for the most part in 3 of those games, and they're awful in 2 of them. And this past week was no different. They were absolutely obliterated this past week. No surprise. The 37-22 final score from the Cowboys was no indication. This game was 30-6 or 30-3 at one point. It was an absolute domination by the Dallas Cowboys, and the Jets are terrible. The Jets are easily the worst team in football. Their offense can only score in garbage time. Their defense couldn't stop a bicycle going uphill. A bicycle getting pushed uphill. They couldn't stop. I mean, this team is just really awful from any facet of the imagination. Aaron Glenn has come in, and I'm going to give the guy time. I'm going to give this guy really a pass on the entire season because no one really expected the Jets to be good. I'm going to give Darren Moogie the same pass as well as the GM. This team is god awful. They are less disciplined than they were last year under Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich. They are worse defensively by a mile and a half. At least last year when the Jets couldn't at least the Jets, when they were undisciplined and couldn't stop the run, at least they could stop the pass last year. Now they're even more undisciplined. Their rush defense is worse, and they're terrible against the pass. So really, it's just a cavalcade of just horrendous. They just suck. It's basically what it is. The Broncos are riding the high of an unbelievable win against the Super Bowl champions away from home. I'm going with the Broncos 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sundays in this one here. The Broncos, I think, are going to dominate the New York Jets, and this is going to be a great showing for Bo Nix and co. It won't be the same 12 to 10 win that the Broncos had in a rain-soaked MetLife Stadium last year. This is going to be a thorough domination, in my opinion. Moving on to the 1 p.m. slates here, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are home. They absolutely dominated the Raiders last week, and this is the difference for me. Now, the Raiders are not a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Let's make that clear. But the Colts are a team that we're still kind of trying to figure out what kind of game that they're going to play. And if you're like me, you kind of went into last week going, yeah, the Colts will probably win, but this might be one of those weird close games that these fraud teams play and not these good teams. Good teams, they go in there, they take care of business, and they get out of there. The Colts did absolutely that. They went in there, they dominated the Raiders 40-6. Jonathan Taylor is having an unbelievable start to the year. Daniel Jones has still looked great. The Cardinals, on the other hand, it's tough. They lost James Conner, then they lost Trey Benson. DeMercado fumbled at the goal line, which started one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen in NFL history. If you haven't watched the last 10 minutes of that Arizona Cardinals Tennessee Titans game, I suggest you watch it. It's a hilarious compilation of comedic errors, just one after the other for the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, I don't know, this Cardinals team, I had higher aspirations for them this year, but it just seems like their offense is just so one-dimensional, and even that one dimension isn't really that great. I mean, Trey McBride is having kind of a mid-season. Marvin Harrison Jr. is up and down every single game. There's really no wide receiver to speak of, and they can't really run the ball anymore. And Kyler is kind of, I don't want to say regressing, because I feel like we go through this every year where Kyler is good one game and then he's bad for two, and then he's good for one game, he's bad for three. So regardless, I think the Colts are a good team. I think they are going to take care of business. And who knew that Danny Dimes was going to unlock the potential of the Indianapolis Colts? So I'm going to go with the Colts here. The Chargers and the Dolphins. And man, I couldn't say enough good things about the Los Angeles Chargers through 3 weeks. And, to be honest with you, even if they were 4-1 after this week, I know being at home, losing to the Commanders, who were also a little bit short-staffed, they just got back Jaden Daniels healthy. Terry McLaurin was out as well. The Commanders took care of business. They played well defensively. The Chargers' home stadium is not really a home field advantage. They kind of neutralized Justin Herbert. The week before that, though, going into MetLife Stadium and losing to the New York Giants, who are starting a rookie quarterback, I mean, that's kind of inexcusable. They went from, 3 division wins in their first 3 games to now 0-2 against the NFC East. Now they're going up against the Dolphins, who are 1-4, who looked really good in the first half against the Carolina Panthers, and they had an epic collapse in the second half. They lost 27-24. The Dolphins are just a team where I think Tua this year is just not the problem. Really, what is he going to be able to do? I mean, he's going in there. Tyreek Hill is out for the rest of his career. Jalen Waddle, I feel like, was definitely not worth the 6th overall pick. And what was that, the 2019 draft he was taken, I want to say, 2019 or 2020, whenever it was. I feel like at this point, he really wasn't worth a top 10 selection. And then what do you have after that? You have Malik Washington. You have the corpse of Darren Waller, who actually played really well in the first half and then just died on the field in the second half. I don't think he caught a pay. He was 5 for 78 and a touchdown in the first half, and I'm pretty sure that's the stat line he finished with. That fact check me on that, please, if I'm wrong. But yeah, I could remember late in the game looking at the box score and being like, oh, Darren Waller still has the same stats as before. He was unguardable in the first half. What happened? But this Dolphins team is terrible on the defensive side, too. Their young players just aren't really hitting right now. Chop Robinson, Kenneth Grant, these guys over the last couple, the last first round picks over the last 2 draft classes just really aren't producing yet. And Chop is a great prospect. So is Kenneth Grant. It's going to take time, but this defense is really bad. The offense isn't great. They're how much can you possibly rely on Devon Achan and Ollie Gordon? This team is just a mess. I think this is going to be one of those games where the Chargers come in even though Omarion Hampton is on IR, I think Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal will be, fine replacement for the time being, especially against this woeful Dolphins defense. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here. I think Justin Herbert has a big game, kind of a statement game for him, especially against his draft mate Tua Tagovailoa, who a couple of years ago people were saying that Tua was the better quarterback overall than Justin Herbert. I think the script has finally been flipped permanently on that one. But anyway, moving on. We have the Cleveland Browns, who are not as bad as everyone thinks they are, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this seems like the perfect trap game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off of a bye. They're 3-1. They're playing good football on both sides. They're coming off of a victory over the Minnesota Vikings, which is a big victory away from home in the first ever Dublin game. The Cleveland Browns on their side were about 30 seconds away from beating the Minnesota Vikings in London. And this team, like I said, is not nearly as bad as we initially thought. Dillon Gabriel gave the offense, Dillon Gabriel, it's so funny. Dillon Gabriel, Harold Fannin Jr., Isaiah Bond, and Quishon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, 5 rookies, have really sparked some absolute octane into this offense. Quishon Judkins had a great game against Minnesota. He was basically unstoppable for most of the game. Harold Fannin Jr. caught a touchdown. Dillon Gabriel looked pretty decent. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot, but whatever they asked him to do, he did it pretty well. This Browns team could possibly be a lot better than we give them credit for. But I think this is a tough environment to go in. This Steelers team just kind of seems like we, myself included, we kind of bashed them for having a really weird offseason where they made some good moves and they made some really, really questionable moves. But this Steelers team is kind of firing on all cylinders right now, and they have a chance to firmly cement themselves at the top of the AFC North, and I firmly expect them to do that. I'm going to take the Steelers over the Browns here in this one. You have the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, who, if you go off of New York Jets standards, the Dallas Cowboys were the greatest team in the NFL last week. They ran the football effectively, insanely effectively. They passed the football effectively. They played great defense through the first 3.5 quarters. I think they generated 5 or 6 sacks on a team that really struggles to get pressure. The Dallas Cowboys had a day, and I expect that to continue against the Carolina Panthers. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than people are initially thinking, especially if CeeDee Lamb comes back. But the Carolina Panthers could score when Bryce Young isn't shitting his pants and turning the ball over stupidly, and he plays within himself. The Carolina Panthers can score. I don't know if Chuba Hubbard is coming back, but Rico Dowell coming off of 234 total yards, rushing for 199 yards, and now he might have the opportunity to start against his former team. That's pretty big. Yeah, Rico Dowell might be in for another 200-yard type of rushing game, or at least 200 scrimmage yards. But I do think the Cowboys will get this done. This also feels like a weird game where the Panthers defense might actually show up. But I think the Cowboys, even without CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys offense is firing on all cylinders. I mean, Ryan Flournoy last week, a 6th-round, second-year player out of southeastern Missouri, had 6 catches for 114 yards. Jalen Tolbert is still an effective player. Hopefully, Kevon Turpin comes back. One CeeDee Lamb comes back. They still have George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson has 12 more catches than any other tight end in football. He's having a great start to the season as well. This Cowboys, Javonte Williams is having an unbelievable season. This Cowboys team is exciting, and they can run the football and they can score. And that was a couple things that were very, very worrisome going into the season. The defense is still bad, but it is what it is at that point. They might be able to outscore a lot of these teams. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys away from home here against the Carolina Panthers. Moving on, this is a tough one here. The Seattle Seahawks and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a tough game. The Seahawks defense has kind of let them down, I feel like, the last couple of games. I know that on Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago, they wound up eking out a 23-20 game, and then they lost, 40, 38, 35, 135 to the Bay Buccaneers. But their defense has looked worse. the last few weeks. Check my because this pick 'em with you guys, and then I do the other ones obviously on my own. I actually forgot who I picked for this game. I did pick the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is going to be a tough game. I feel like this is a super competitive game, but this Jacksonville Jaguars team, I didn't expect the defense to be as good as it is. I kind of knew the offense was going to be good, but to be honest with you, I kind of feel like the roles are reversed. I thought the defense wasn't going to be that great. It would be okay. They have a couple playmakers, especially after adding someone like Travis Hunter. I thought the defense was going to be okay, and I thought the offense was going to be great. The offense is just okay, but the defense is really, really good. Number one in the NFL in turnovers. I believe they have, 15 or 16 turnovers so far through 5 games. They're playing unreal ball right now, and they're riding a true high right now. And they're home again against the Seahawks. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the Seahawks here, again, their defense let them down a little bit. They can score as well. I feel like AJ Barner is developing into a very nice young tight end for them as well. Jackson Smith-Njigba is still awesome. Cooper Kupp is there as well. You know, the running attack between Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. I was going to say Kenneth Grant. Imagine that guy running the football. Kenneth Walker is super solid as well. The offensive line is playing pretty good. Gray Zabel looks like, honestly, right now, the one rookie offensive lineman that is clearly the best out of like everyone. He is playing some unbelievable football. But yeah, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one here. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the LA Rams, and I was quite disappointed with the LA Rams this past week, losing to the San Francisco 49ers. I truly thought that the Rams kind of went down. Well, they would go down 14-0 early, but then they fought back. They took the lead. They had an opportunity to go in. Alfred Collins, hook 'em horns, knocked out the ball at the 1 yard line. And, it went into overtime. That was basically a game saving play by Alfred Collins. The game went into overtime. The Eddie Pinheiro who doinked one in, and then the Rams went for it on fourth down, and it was one of the worst fourth down plays I think I've seen in quite some time. But yeah, the Rams were a little disappointing this past week, but I expect them to bounce back against the Ravens. This Ravens team sucks. I mean, I feel weird saying that. The Ravens are 1-4, and even with Lamar Jackson, I feel like this team just absolutely sucks. Defensively, it doesn't matter how many good players they add. I mean, this is a gauntlet. Let's call it for what it is. Let's see if we could recount the teams that the Ravens have played so far this year. They played the Bills, they played the Browns, who are not nearly as bad as people gave them credit for. They played the Lions, they've played the Houston Texans, and now they're going to play the Rams. And I know there's another game in there that I'm missing as well, but I feel like they've had an absolute gauntlet so far this year of team. Oh, and they played the Chiefs. Yeah, a gauntlet of teams so far through 6 weeks. But Lamar Jackson is not fully healthy either. This Rams team is still kind of sort of firing on all cylinders. So I'm going to give them the Rams because the Ravens defense is just absolutely atrocious. How about them Patriots? Going into Buffalo and coming away with a win. This Patriots team, I did say it in my NFL predictions video. I think I had them at 8-9 or 9-8. I said this Patriots team was going to be very, very scrappy, and they were going to be way better than people were giving them credit for. And it's going to continue here. I think the Patriots go into New Orleans and they kind of just, get the job done. The Saints team, again, I'll say it, they're 1-4, and they've really only not been in one game this year, and that was against Seattle away from home when they lost 43-6 or 43-13, whatever it was. Every other game they've been in, and they're actually not a bad 1-4 team. Kellen Moore has these guys actually playing pretty good ball. And, Spencer Rattler really hasn't played that bad so far this year. Not bad enough to the point where we need to see Tyler Shuck, the 78-year-old rookie quarterback. But Spencer Rattler's actually playing pretty decent ball to the point where, he could definitely carve out a role for himself in the NFL in some way, shape, or form. But Drake May, I think this year is already firmly established himself as a top 10 quarterback in football. He's been awesome for this Patriots team. The defense showed up against Josh Allen as well. The rushing attack, Ramondre Stevenson continues to get carries when they have Travion. Now Travion Henderson's going to have a little bit of a bigger role because Antonio Gibson is out for the season. But the running attack could be a little bit better, hopefully, when Travion gets up to speed. This team will really be more of a balanced offensive attack. But I'm going to go with the Patriots here away from home against the New Orleans Saints. My goodness, this game sucks. The Raiders and the Tennessee Titans here. I don't know why people keep picking the Raiders, to be quite honest with you. I know the Tennessee Titans are not good, but the Raiders are not good either. And Cam Ward and Co. getting their first victory of the season, Cam Ward getting his first career victory as well, might have them having a little bit of momentum, a little bit more confidence. This Raiders team could probably not be lower on confidence right now after what 2 weeks ago losing a heartbreaker. I mean, they started off 1-0. They've lost four straight. They lost a heartbreaker to the Bears. They blocked last second field goal, won the Bears the game. Then they got absolutely trounced by the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones. I think there's no reason why the Titans can't come in and win. I know the defense hasn't played that great for the Titans, but it's still a pretty solid unit overall. Geno Smith has just been serving up turnovers like he's baking apple turnovers. Honestly, like the guy is just serving up turnovers left and right. It's unbelievable. 9 interceptions through 5 games. And it probably could even be worse against this Tennessee Titans defense that's actually a little bit more stout than people give it credit for. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans away from home here against the Raiders. Moving on, you got the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a good one. I really do think this is going to be a good one because the Buccaneers kind of throw defense out the window. You ever realize that the Buccaneers play an exciting brand of football where it's like, you know what? We're going to let you score. We're going to let you stay in the game. But the fact of the matter is, we know that we could score more points than you guys. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's really what the Buccaneers did against the Seahawks. They were like, listen, we think our team is better than yours. We're just going to let it fly. Rashad White had a nice game in place of Bucky Irving. He had a couple rushing touchdowns. Emeka Ibuka is continuing to be the offensive rookie of the year for me, in my opinion, so far this year. 445 yards, 4 touchdowns so far this season. He's been awesome for them. And really, it's a godsend for Baker Mayfield and Co. because it's a godsend that this team has depth on the offensive side because Mike Evans has been injured, Chris Godwin has been injured, and Emeka Ibuka has really taken over as really the number one target and the guy that you look to the most. So especially, and Rashad White isn't the greatest rusher, but he's also a running back that commands relevancy, and Sean Tucker is as well. So, it's nice that they have 2 running backs behind Bucky Irving that can get the job done. And this 49ers team is coming off of, I would say, an unexpected win away from home against the LA Rams. Hey, listen, they stood on business. They played aggressive. They played good defense. Mac Jones is 3-0 as a starter. I mean, if it wasn't for Mac Jones, who knows where the San Francisco 49ers team would be so far this year. I don't think Brock Purdy is going to play in this game. I just read the report that it was like Jawan Jennings, Kyle Juszczyk, and Brock Purdy did not practice today. And that could mean anything. It is just Wednesday. They could be held out for an extra day of rest. But regardless, I think this Buccaneers team is flying so high. They are home. The San Francisco 49ers are still banged up. And I do think that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is a little bit better than the LA Rams, at least pass rushing. Well, I shouldn't say pass rushing wise, at least secondary wise. They have Benjamin Morris and Jacob Parrish are a couple really, really good defensive players for them. They still have Jamel Dean. I think that this is going to be probably the matchup of the weekend, and I'm going to give it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this one here. Packers and Bengals, listen, fact of the matter is, I tweeted the other day when the Bengals were playing the Lions, I said, surely the Bengals could have gotten a quarterback better than Jake Browning. And then they went and traded for Joe Flacco. So I guess in a way, they tried to prove me wrong. I don't know if they did or not, but a 40-year-old Joe Flacco is probably better than Jake Browning at this point, I would say. But yeah, I mean, this is not going to save the season for the Bengals. They are plus 800 to win at Lambeau Field. The Packers are coming off of a bye and coming off of a 40-40 tie on Sunday Night Football 2 weeks ago. The Bengals, I think, rank like 30th in the NFL in total defense and like 31st in the NFL in total offense. Yeah, I think I think we're going to see the Bengals get blown out quite a bit this NFL season without Joe Burrow. And really, the two things that should be on the Bengals' mind in free agency and through the draft should be offensive line, and it should be defense. I mean, I don't know what it is about this unit, but they just absolutely suck. I'm going with the Packers here in this one. Chiefs and the Lions here. The Chiefs are kind of in desperation mode, but kind of not at the same time, because even if they do lose this week, they are still firmly in the race for the AFC West or the wild card spot. But yeah, this is kind of tough. They went into Jacksonville, and Jacksonville, what is it? Is Jacksonville a legit team, or is KC coming out of their Super Bowl dynasty? What is it? But regardless, this is also the last game that the Chiefs have before Rashee Rice comes back, and I truly think he is going to be the spark plug that this offense needs to kind of get back on track. But the Lions are really tough right now. If you take week one out of the equation, they've probably been the most dominant team in the NFL through those other 4 weeks. So I think the Lions, similar to a couple of years ago in the first game of the year, I think that the Lions kind of come into, you know, I was going to say Lambeau. They come into Arrowhead or Geha, whatever it's called, and they kind of punch the the Chiefs in the mouth a little bit here. The defense has been playing pretty good. The offense is flying high. Amon-Ra St. Brown's having a hell of a season. Jahmyr Gibbs is having a great season. So is David Montgomery. It's really Broncos at this point. The Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, Denver Broncos. Give me Broncos over Lions are playing. Yeah, give me Detroit Lions over the Kansas City Chiefs in that one. Now you have Sunday Night Football here between the Buffalo Bills and the Atlanta Falcons, and I think the Bills are coming out for revenge. This is an interesting game because you have the Buffalo Bills playing in a dome against the Atlanta Falcons. I love watching Josh Allen play in a dome. I feel like he plays unbelievable in a dome. The Falcons, I think this game will be a little bit closer than expected because the Falcons are not a bad team. They're also coming off of a bye, but the Buffalo Bills are out for revenge. They got embarrassed at their new home by, I shouldn't say embarrassed, but they lost at their new home to their division rivals who put them down for so long in the Tom Brady era. And really, it was a game that was easily winnable for the Buffalo Bills down the stretch. But yeah, I think the Bills are kind of out for retribution. The Bills do not like to lose games that they probably could win, and this is a game that they're definitely going to be able to win. On Atlanta's side, you just got to limit the turnovers. Michael Penix is having a pretty decent season, but turnovers have been an issue. Get Drake London going early, get Bijan Robinson going early. Kyle Pitts is still there. Maybe you could kind of come out and stun the Bills a little bit, but overall, give me the Buffalo Bills over the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football. And then the Monday night game here, we have the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears, and this is literally a rematch of the Hail Mary from last year. So I think the Bears are going to be out for blood here. This has been an interesting matchup the last couple of years because if you remember the Chicago Bears, what was it, 2 seasons ago, went into Washington and DJ Moore scored like 4 touchdowns in the first half and they completely blew the Commanders out of the water. On the other hand, last year, Jaden Daniels threw like a 70-yard Hail Mary and embarrassed the Chicago Bears. So yet again, we're getting that same matchup. And Terry McLaurin is expected to come back, I believe. Jaden Daniels is another week healthy. And who's to say that the Commanders kind of dominated the LA Chargers away from home without Terry McLaurin? Who's to say that they can't do the same to the Chicago Bears? I don't think it's going to be a domination. I think it's going to be a close, very fun football game. But give me the Washington Commanders over the Chicago Bears in this one here. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my Week 6 picks for the 2025 NFL season. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I hope I see you in the next one.